got a C. And now I'm never going to be able to go to the college I want to go to, and then I can't be the astrophysicist that I know I need to be. What am I going to do? I don't know, I guess we'll have to figure that out, won't we? So let's do that. What could you possibly do? And help them to learn how to start problem solving, some of that kind of stuff. Because you know we all fail, right? We all do. So it's better if they start learning a little bit of that while you're there to help guide them with how to grow from it. So expect things of them and allow others to. So let's just say your child did not complete an assignment in time and you find out, right? So some parents are going to run to the teacher and look to remedy this and make this all better. Just like, you know, please don't do that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't ever get involved. Debbie Chili? Doesn't mean you can't ever get involved in what's going on at your children's school. You need to get involved in some stuff that goes on in your children's school. But at the same time, you need to be teaching them to have a voice. They need to go talk to the teacher. Is there anything that I can do about this? And the teacher may say, no. That was the deadline, that's the deal. And so now it's just like, okay, so what do we do to problem solve this? Maybe there's extra credit, maybe there's not. Maybe there's just, well, guess what? You're going to need to be studying even harder because you can't afford anything now below an 80 or whatever it happens to be, depending on what their goal is. But make them responsible for it. Let them order the pizza. Let them take care of some of this stuff. I have some 16-year-olds that call and they set their own appointments to come and see me. And then I have some parents that go, what? What are you talking about? Well, I just went up to New York. And my daughter and I wanted to go up a day early because I was going to see my best friend. And I knew it was going to be all about my daughter when she got there, so I had her fly up by herself. I cannot tell you how many parents I said, she's going to fly by herself. Well, not exactly. I'm pretty sure there's going to be 150 other people in the plane with her. And she's still 13, so I have to sign her up for that whole, unaccompanied minor thing. But I need her to know that she can do this. Because when you don't, you send them the message that you don't think they can. So you got to give them the message that you think they can. Even sometimes when you're not 100% sure that they can, you still want to, let them, give them some wings to fly. How are we doing? I know we're getting late here. We're almost done with projects because we can only get so much done this semester. How to talk to them. So you want to be specific. I don't ever have the kids come into my car and say, hey, how was your day? I don't ask that. We go highs and lows. I'm looking for specifics. Give me what your high was for the day and give me what your low was for the day. Now again, I've been practicing this since they were young, so they kind of know that that's the deal. But you want to ask about specifics. Don't just ask about grades. How'd you do on that test? They come to start seeing you or believing that they're just a grade book opportunity, rather than how are they, what's going on with them. So when I go to each of my kids and do their little song, I also sit and I talk with them. We don't talk about any school-related stuff during that time period. We just talk about stuff going on with friends, that she's got a semi-crush on somebody maybe, and that kind of stuff. So share with them. I got some parents that are just like, they won't talk to me at all. Okay, then you share with them some of the stuff that either went on in your day or some ridiculous experiences that you had, maybe when you were younger, that kind of stuff. Make sure they're appropriate. I have some parents. I have one father in particular that's newly divorced and didn't have any relations for about 3 years at the end of his divorce. So now he is out sowing his oats. And his 16-year-old daughter gets to hear all about it. So I'm sure all of you did, I would never do anything like that. Well, hopefully you wouldn't. That's a little bit more on the extreme end. But you'd be surprised, what kinds of things you might be telling them that you want to stop and think about. Find out their interests and talk to them about those interests. Not just what's interesting to you, what's interesting to them. When my kids are in the car with me, we listen to their music. We don't listen to my music. I know their songs, and they want to share this with me. My daughter comes across a new song, she gets in the car and says, oh, you got to hear this one. It's nice. Stop and think before responding. Is this a good time to ask a question or to impart my wisdom upon them? It's probably a good time to ask them a question. You want to impart wisdom here and there. because they've probably heard a bunch of wisdom already and don't want to hear the same stories again. You want to respect their priorities. If all of a sudden they're just like, I want to go to my friend's house for this, and then I want to take care of that, and I want to watch this game on TV, you're just like, what? That's ridiculous. There's no need for that. But there is a need for it. It's not your need, it happens to be their need. Again, that's the respect issue. Don't lecture, listen. Don't personalize, but listen. Has anybody ever heard "I hate you" from any of their kids? I hate you. Has any of their children ever said "I hate you"? Some have, right? Doesn't mean you're doing a bad job parenting. In fact, there's a pretty good sign that you're doing a pretty good job parenting, if you've heard that. So be careful. A lot of this is just about where they're at, and not necessarily that you've done something wrong per se. Empathize with them. This we miss a lot of. You know, again, we want to get in there and tell them what to do and how to fix it, and we stopped and didn't pay attention and talk to how they were feeling and what that must have been like for them. And then mirroring. Is anybody familiar with this term? Mirroring? So mirroring is probably the most important communication and listening technique there is. Mirroring is, and if you don't use it in your marriages or relationships, you want to probably start. Mirroring is where you take what you just heard that person say and you repeat it back. Not word for word, but basically the gist of what it is you heard them say. Now, it doesn't feel real natural when you first start doing it, but you would be shocked how much we misunderstand a person's intent and the amount of miscommunication and misunderstandings that get taken care of with that. Now, if there's a technique, by the way, that I talk about that you're just like, oh, I want to do that, but I'm never going to remember to start doing that all the time. I have an alarm that goes off on my phone every single morning. And so whatever it is that I'm focusing on, that I'm trying to improve about, and I know I sound like a psychology nerd right now, but it goes off at 9:15. And it goes off to a song I really like, so I have this positive association with this thing, right? So one of the things that I'm working on is being late to stuff stresses me out. I'm still often late, but it still stresses me out. And so, and my children a lot of times are a part of that being late piece. So I need to remind myself, be late, you know? Life will go on. And it's that reminder of, you know, get a grip. You know, it is what it is. But it goes off every single day. So it's something that I've made need to be real for me. So you can either ask for someone to mirror, or you can offer to mirror. You don't use a term. You're just like, okay, so what you're telling me is that, you know, you feel like an idiot when you have to leave at this time because everybody else is leaving the party at this time instead. Or if you feel like you're having to repeat the same thing over and over and the person so doesn't seem to get it, you ask them to mirror. Tell me what you just heard me say. I heard what you said. Good. I'm glad. I just want to make sure. Just tell me what you heard me say. So that's asking for it and offering it. This is very important. Has everybody ever heard of the 5 love languages? This book? Right? Okay. It's an excellent book. I personally do not like self-help books. I know a psychologist shouldn't say that, but they annoy me, generally speaking. This particular book, I like very, very much. In large part because whenever I do any of my relationship work, it's based on this thing called the golden rule of relationships. The golden rule of relationships, well, the golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do to you, right? We all know that one, right? It destroys most relationships, just so you know. Because most of the time, we are attracted to people that are very much our opposite. And oftentimes our children are very much their other parent, who was very much our opposite. And so what we need to do is, the golden rule of relationships is, do for your partner as he or she needs done, not as you do. So I told you about these wonderful parents I have, right? So these wonderful parents are a little bit different than each other. So my dad's a hopeless romantic. He was a firefighter, so he'd be home some days. And my mom would come home from school, because she was a guidance counselor. She'd come home from a hard-working day at school, and my dad had balloons and flowers set up around the house, just throughout the house. No reason, no anniversary, no Valentine's Day, right? Oh, what a wonderful thing, just because I love you. Who the heck does that kind of stuff? My dad does that kind of stuff, right? And so he'd even send her cards home from the fire department, you know? It's great, except it just royally ticked off my mom. She'd walk in the house and she'd be like, Donald, this is what you've done with yourself today? You gotta be kidding, right? Like these flowers aren't gonna die and these balloons aren't gonna go. Like, really? When what you could have done is made dinner, taken care of the dishes. I could have come home, sat down, relaxed. Like, who did you get married to? Right? Nobody's heard anything like that. So, meanwhile, my poor dad, he's like all deflated, you know? But meanwhile, it plays the other way. My mom is an amazing caregiver. She takes care of everything, T's are crossed, I's are dotted, and all that kind of stuff, you know? And so, there she is, off taking care of everything and completely missing the boat in terms of going out on a date with my dad. You know, so she's taking care of him the way she wants to be taken care of, and he's taking care of her the way she wants to be taken care of. And when you talk to them, they will tell you that they have worked so hard on this marriage. They've been married 44 years. They have worked their butts off, and they have, just on very much the wrong stuff. So the same holds true of our children. We need to love them the way they want to be loved, and we better find out which way that is. So I know you guys are going to be needing to go here, so I don't want to get into what all those 5 love languages are. I will tell you, if you go online and you just put in 5 love languages, or teenagers 5 love languages, you'll get to something where there'll be a little quiz. It's a 1-page little quiz, and it's one of those things that might be in those teen magazines. This or this, and you circle A or circle E or whatever, right? They love those things. So go on, have them take that quiz, and then you'll have kind of a quick sense of which one of the love languages is theirs. And then I'd actually recommend you go get the book. It's an easy read, it's very simple, and there's a lot of stuff as you read it, you go, oh yeah, I know that, I see that. So I would do that, and even if all you do is read that 1 or 2 chapters that your child was kind of highest in, to kind of help you make sure you're doing a good job with that. Don't be afraid to use it in your marriage as well. Okay, so extra credit. You want to balance privacy with safety? Anybody think internet access is a privilege, or is it a given in life? It's kind of both. It seems like we're so entwined in it, how can you go without it? Well, your kids know that too. But when you're a kid, it's still a privilege, unless you treat it like it's a given. And if you do, you did that. Because there's plenty of households where it's not a given. It is absolutely not a given in my household. Now, I'm giving about it, but it's definitely one of those things that they know it's not a given. I need to know my kids' passwords. And they understand that, again, that's part of the deal. You don't want to give me, here's your choice. I have access to your passwords, you have access to the internet and to your phone. I don't have access to your password, you lose that until I get your password. So, we talked about that. Cyberbullying. There's going to be a slide, and I'm going to go through cyberbullying and how it's defined. Do you all know that it's actually illegal and that there are consequences for cyberbullying? Yeah. You know that, right? If it's a misdemeanor, if there's no threat involved, then it's going to be up to 1 year in prison and up to $1,000. If it's a felony, which means there's a threat involved, that's going to be up to 5 years in prison and up to $5,000. Okay? And you all probably know schools mean business. Okay? So, the perpetrator, you all need to make sure your kids know it is not anonymous. I got a call from this school to let me know that my daughter was posting suicidal threats online, on social media. There's a picture of her, I'm told, on the social media site. She's making suicidal threats. Meanwhile, I'm like, what? I mean, my kid's a good kid, and how did I miss this? Like, I have access to all of her sites. What's going on here? And then I go and find out. I get a call, actually, from the Special Victims Unit at the City of Pembroke Pines. And I'm like, how did you guys find out this information? What's going on here? Well, apparently they're the ones that actually notified the school, because they have somebody with the City of Pembroke Pines Police Department that goes onto these social media sites, and they look up homicidal, and they look up suicidal, and they even look up some of these bullying things. And they went, found the site, they went to the school board, Broward County, and asked them to go and decipher where could this be coming from. They decided it was a student that was here with this name, and so I then got notified. This stuff is not anonymous, okay? It ended up not being my daughter. But it's not anonymous, and they need to know that. So the other thing is it follows you forever, right? Businesses will go and do a search and find out what kind of stuff you've been doing for even